Welcome back to the Taylosive Tech Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
Not again.
Thanks, Randy.
Please.
Randy making my job harder every week.
Oh, I didn't know that we could do that. Let me make things a little bit more difficult.
Beef up our legal team.
I'm going to do you a solid here.
Every time.
I have an update.
Okay.
In terms of tech, I know this is a little bit more gaming-centric tech, but for reference, here's this thing.
Oh, we got the...
Watermelon Switch. And
Watermelon Sugar Switch.
And I got this thing the other day.
Oh, it's the not Switch.
The not Switch.
Wait, is that the Steam Deck?
'Tis the Steam Deck, made by Valve.
What's the internet provider at the place you're recording?
That's a great question. I don't know. Charter?
Because it looks so pixelated, I couldn't even read the logo.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Whoever it was, it's bad.
Yeah, maybe the Spectrum.
Must be.
I got a Steam Deck because I wanted to try it out, and I thought that my PSVR 2 experience was crap. So I'm like, you know what? Let's put the money forward on this guy. And I would say it's been fun. It's been exciting. Good. I did dip into emulation.
But I can't say it's been fun, exciting.
Yeah. I did load up some emulated games on here, and that was interesting. I found that half of them didn't port over, and then that half that did port over, was it like maybe a quarter of them didn't work. So I guess an eighth of the games that I originally found by my own means, legally, don't work, which was interesting. But otherwise, it's been very fun, very interesting. Linux. I've worked with
You're
Windows.
Really selling me on it.
I've worked with Windows in the past, and Windows, it's an interesting UI and all that, but I've gotten used to it, and that's totally fine. Mac and all that, like, it's got its own gripes and all that, but it's a nice, smooth experience. I work with Linux at work, but, like, for very specific uses. And this thing, there was no translation between what I do at work with Linux type of commands and this thing.
I see.
There definitely is a learning curve with, I guess, just using it. But it is powerful. It is loud at times if you put on performance mode, but otherwise, it's fun. And
what do you play on it? What have you played so far?
So I put, in terms of games that I bought and have obtained legally, legal means, was it? I got Astroneer on there, which is kind of like space Minecraft in a way. That's been fun. I put Horizon Zero Dawn in it, which is a PlayStation exclusive, but apparently it's on
That's a good game.
Steam. Yeah, I only got, I don't know, maybe 3 hours into the game on the PlayStation. And I thought it'd be nice to have it on the go wherever I'm going, because I'm also taking summer trips like the rest of us.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to continue that playthrough, figured out, whoops, can't, need to start a new save, whatever. I also, on the emulated side, I booted up Pikmin 2, because that's one of the games that I love and enjoy, and that was fun. It all runs perfectly great, 60 FPS, clear as a whistle and all that, even though it's a 2000... This is going to age you a little bit. It's a 2004 game, so graphics aren't that amazing, but I was still in awe over, like, oh, this actually runs pretty well. So I've played, I think, those games, and they've been decent. I haven't had many issues with it. I like the fact that I can manually change frame rate and all that, and it's very customizable. And, I would say it definitely grips okay. Sometimes I feel like it'd be better with a better grip situation, but it's not bad. The back buttons are handy for, like, putting in your own custom commands. But, I'd say pretty good purchase, even though I got it 6 days ago, I think. Yeah.
How much was it?
It was, I got the mid-tier, so I think that is $4.99? $4.99, $5.99?
Okay.
I forget.
Wow.
quickly get that right
Why
now.
do you think... Here's my question. When the Nintendo Switch was first unveiled, I thought, this is going to flop. No one's going to buy that. And I was obviously so wrong. And I've never been more wrong on anything.
Dummy.
But my my logic was...
530.
Why have a separate... 530, okay. Why have a separate device that's also somewhat mobile with its own separate computer and everything to play your games? Like, if our phones are getting better and better displays and better battery life and better GPU performance, like, why do you think it has found its own market between... There's another one, I know the Steam Deck and I know the Switch, obviously, but there's a Verizon one I can't remember the name of.
I don't know about that one. The ROG Ally just came out, or yeah, is being delivered to people right now, and that's kind of like the Steam Deck's main competitor that everyone's lumping in the same competitive fight. Kind of like, well, with anything Apple versus Android and all that, it's very much Steam Deck versus ROG Ally, and they got the pros and cons and all that. ROG Ally uses Windows. Steam Deck uses Linux. ROG Ally focuses on performance and has a higher price, but has higher specs. Steam Deck is a low entry and already has like a built-in library and all that, and is a lot more, maybe not friendlier, but is a lot more malleable in what you can put on it, versus kind of the Ally, in which has some barriers that you have to kind of go through.
So do you think it's all a platform battle? Is that what this is? Like, they couldn't get those PC games or a lot of those Steam games just ported over to iOS or just ported over to Android. But if you develop a mobile device with the controllers already built in and everything that's already capable of running a somewhat desktop class operating system, is this purely because Apple doesn't allow sideloading that this market exists?
No, I would say the technology's finally getting there for like mobile gaming that is actually striking in terms of its performance. Like, yeah, the Switch came out years ago and all that, but like you look at the specs for like what it can run, and it's decent, but you get games like what recently came out, Legend of Zelda, was it Tears of the Kingdom, and like in terms of like the gameplay in the world, it's beautiful and amazing, but like its graphics still aren't really like, you're not hitting like Horizon Zero Dawn level of graphics, or dare I say Skyrim at the time. But
well, and that's why it's so cheap, right? Is because the integrated graphics are very basic. Like, especially on the Switch, I remember when it came out, it wasn't even as good as the iPhone that was available at that time, which is why the Switch is often what I use as an example, as like the performance does not sell the product alone. Like, it's the titles, it's the games that people want to play. They'll buy the console that has their game that they want, which is why exclusives are so important to Sony and Microsoft. Is it like they want to own the right titles because they know that the hardware is kind of semantics to most people, and that's how Nintendo Switch did so well, was that the game was just really fun and really enjoyable. And yeah, it was beautiful, but from like a polygon count ray tracing thing, it wasn't necessarily the most advanced. You know, it wasn't playing at super high frame rates or super high resolution. That didn't matter to people, which is why I look at the iPhone and how advanced their integrated graphics are getting these days, and I'm like, why didn't that take off? You know, I know there's third-party controller things that you can put alongside your iPhone that kind of turn it into like a little makeshift Switch and stuff, but that doesn't seem as popular as what you're doing, like buying a Steam Deck or people buying the ROG or Ally or whatever. Like, it comes down to platforms, I feel like.
It does. You don't see Apple making critically acclaimed games like what Nintendo does, right? You don't have Apple making a Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom level game. It's very much
they tried.
They get
Alto's Odyssey.
Did they even make that though? I don't think they did. They got someone else.
Yeah, they owned it. Yeah.
Yeah, they got someone else to make it.
It was just a Breath of the Wild clone, pretty much.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of like Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
Sue me. But basically, I would think things like the Steam Deck and ROG Ally exist because people don't want a game on a phone. They want a game on a dedicated uh, system. Like, who cares about giving calls or giving text messages and all that? You can have Discord on the Steam Deck, and that's enough. They want something that thrives on, or I guess not thrives, is performance-based. Something that is focused on that gaming experience and not kind of like an all-around device. Because, like you've mentioned with the iPad, once you kind of take this hybrid approach, it may have to make some sacrifices or it's lacking in a lot of different categories. Where with the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally, they have a little bit, well, they have a focus definitely on gaming. It's just where they put some of those pennies in those boxes of like, we're using Linux versus Windows, or we made it this size versus this size. We actually gave more heat sinks here, or like it's more thermally capable in some cases versus this one. It kind of depends, but Apple just doesn't care about gaming, right? So they have the arcade, but like they don't really.
Well, they make a lot of money off App Store gaming, but most of the gaming community I'm aware of doesn't consider that real gaming.
There's a difference between making a whole bunch of money from it and actually caring about what you're putting out there. I don't think Apple cares about Apple Arcade in regards to like what heart and effort they put into it. They just care about the service, and they just throw a bunch of developers in to make games, and they skim off the top, or not even the top. They skim off a decent amount off it, where the developer gets whatever they get. So that's why it makes sense to me that these things are now popping up. Is tech is getting there. At the same time, there is a need for those that want a game while traveling, and the Switch kind of provides that, but you're stuck with just Nintendo's store, where other people want to play Horizon Zero Dawn or Portal 2 or something else, whatever they want to play.
I'd love to play that on the go. Nice.
Play it on the go, where even so, you can play Pokemon games on the Steam Deck or ROG Ally, and you can't play those same games on the Switch because Nintendo isn't selling them anymore. They don't want to sell those games anymore. So it's like, okay, if they don't offer it, someone else will, and I can just put it on my Steam Deck and call it a day. So I think there's a market there. There's people that want that experience, and Nintendo's not wanting to offer it. Apple doesn't really care because they're not really caring about gaming. So it's up to these...
they would want their cut is the bigger issue. Like, even if those titles were like, oh, let's put it on iOS, they know that they would have to put up with the 30% revenue thing. So they're like, why bother? You know, we'd rather you buy your iPhone for your iPhone stuff and then buy our hardware so that we get 100% of the revenue of the services or the game titles, you know. It's a control thing. So it's just interesting to me because I'm happy for you and I hope you continue to enjoy it. But at the same time, my brain is thinking, this feels redundant to me. And that's the same side of my brain that didn't understand the Switch when it came out. It's like, we have one device that has a computer in it and a screen that plays some games, but not all the games. So I get a different device that plays other games. I'm like, why do we have so many of these things?
Yeah.
Like, how is the phone's killed so much, but how has it not killed that, you know?
They don't have a focus on gaming, or at least Apple doesn't. And even if you get an ROG phone, it might be capable.
That's true. They make a phone.
Yeah, they do. It might be capable of playing Drift, the game where you drive a car around, but it's not like the best experience. It makes more sense to have a more dedicated system that actually has its integrated joysticks instead of slapping on these accessories, and then having to plug in the phone to get max performance because it's not getting enough power because it's having to work off of its tinky little battery in there, even though it's a decent sized phone. But at least my justification for getting it is my wife likes playing the Switch a lot, and I would like to play games as well while we're in our downtime while we're traveling, and I want to continue my games that I enjoy that the Switch doesn't offer, like Horizon Zero Dawn, or I'm replaying Pikmin 2 now, and stuff like that. So it just made sense to get that because well. I think I don't know. I have a not preference, but it's something that I'm willing to put money into because I have that interest where someone like you doesn't as much in games because as you've at least shown from your YouTube channel, you thought like, oh, let's just play this game and see how it goes, and you weren't even really getting that enjoyment out of it. So why did it make sense to even continue that and move? Like, makes more sense to move on, right? Put your time and eggs in different baskets. So I I totally understand why you don't understand it, or at least really care for that segment of the market because you don't find a how do I want to put this? You don't find it to be useful for yourself. You find entertainment through other means, but this is the way that I find entertainment. So,
yeah,
makes sense to me. But I don't know. I wanted to ask Randy though because I know that you are a Switch owner. Would you ever consider getting a Steam Deck or anything else like that? Even though that probably not since you've got your kid. But would it make sense for you to get one?
He's got a referral code ready.
I'm gonna answer that and then comment on a few other things that you guys were talking about. No, I wouldn't get a Steam Deck. I don't know why. I maybe my well, my preference in games are a little bit different now. I knew the Switch. It's easy for me to say it now that's all said and done, but I knew it was going to be successful when it launched because it was offering something that, for once, Nintendo finally merged the two. It had its whole Game Boy portable sector. I love a good quadrant on the Tech Podcast.
Yeah.
It had its Game Boy
right.
sector, and then it had its like N64, GameCube, Wii U, and those were. I mean, N64 was the one that I grew up on. I vaguely remember Super Nintendo as well, but anyway, I'm old. They finally.
I also grew up on the N64, so you're not that old compared to me.
No, I didn't say you were young, Mike.
I also. No.
Thanks for that compliment.
And there were games that I liked on the Game Boy, and there were games that I liked on the console. And for once, it became one, and that was Switch. I was like, that's gonna sell. The fact that you can dock it and undock it, I find so much versatility out of that I use almost daily, because the game of choice for me that I play as like a time killer and a stress reliever when my kid goes down, so I'll play with my brother and we'll play Super Smash Brothers. So I play Smash Online with him, and that
it's very literal for you.
It's very
Super Smash.
It's very literal. Yeah. Oh, the irony or the jokes have not ceased even to this day.
You smash your brother real hard.
I super smash my brother. Huh. Okay, so there are times where my wife wants to watch TV, but I'm downstairs too, so I want to dock it and I just kick the stand, and I'm still playing with. We either have FaceTime up. Yep, the little clunk. I'll have FaceTime up, and so then we're all kind of just hanging out like we're in the same room, or I'll just play and not FaceTime. But the ability to just kind of like multitask, or like multi-situational playing is convenient, and that's one reason that I do like gaming on iOS, is you get the same type of portability that's that way. Outside of Smash, I did play Breath of the Wild. I don't have Tears of the Kingdom yet. I would like to get it, and eventually I will. But with what time these days, am I right? But when I do, I will. So that's the reason why I got the Switch. But I love the PlayStation. I love the Xbox. I like those exclusives. I love Halo. Best soundtrack in my opinion. So much so that I get to hear it almost every day when Drew uploads. A little teaser there. I like Halo is that's everything to me.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation, man, besides Last of Us, I just loved like PlayStation has never had like a bad console for what it was. Even though we don't do Blu-ray anymore or anything like that, the fact that like the PlayStation 3 and all, like that, I loved the tech that was in the PlayStation, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
this is clean. This is very nice. So be that as it may, I don't play really any. I only play the Switch because it's so quick and convenient, and it's not the highest fidelity of like resolution. When it's undocked, it's 720p. When it's docked, it's 1080. So on my big 85-inch 4K screen, I'm just like, yeah, I can see all the pixels. But I'm not doing it for
Mm.
pixel peeping. I'm doing it because I'm playing a game with my brother, and why I like gaming. I guess like mobile gaming as a whole is there's a community factor there that I get to play with people. I've in my own Discord once or twice, a few times, I've played Smash Bros with like Halami and alike Skylar. I if it's a way of like bonding and just have that camaraderie, why not? Like it's kind of fun. It's not like I'm playing chess or whatever. Like it requires so much attention. It's like it's a good stress reliever for me. Now with that, iOS. I can't wrap my head around iOS. There's only 3 games that I have on my iPad. I took a screenshot while you guys were back and forth in here. And one is because of nostalgia. The other one is because I just liked the game when it came out over a decade ago on the App Store. And then the other one is because it's cross-platform. And they are Clash of Clans, Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars, best game ever, and Minecraft. Minecraft is another mindless game. I Gotta have Minecraft. Those are my only 3 games that I have, and out of all of them, the only one I've been playing. Not I don't play any of them daily. Maybe once a week or a month or whatever. Is I'll jump on Clash of Clans for 5 to 10 minutes and just farm my stuff. Maybe do a battle here and there, and then I'm good, and I get off. But they're not on my iPhone. They're not on anything that comes with me. It stays on the iPad because I like this. I like the biggest screen mostly that I can have for playing video games. That's where it's like, oh, thank God I still got my iPad Pro. If I could put this on the Mac, I would do that just for quick, playing. Knights of the Republic is a 20-year-old game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it is an old. So I say that because the graphics aren't the best. Nothing about it is, and the fact that like, oh, it's great on like it's iPad-ofied, but it was ported over. It's just me reliving my childhood, and I think it's one of the best. It is, in my opinion. I haven't played the Jedi Survivor any of that new stuff, but in my
Oh,
opinion,
so fun.
this is the best Star Wars game because it's so open world. I like all 3 of these things. What they have in common, they're kind of like open world. They're sandbox games. You can do whatever you want in them. I like Red Dead Redemption for the same reason. Um, the only exception to all that ruling, Breath of the Wild open world. Uh, Last of Us is the only one that's linear, but it's such
Mm-hmm.
a good game that I don't really care.
Well,
And
it's got its
Halo,
level spaces, so
yeah,
it kind of has
but
the
hey,
illusion.
yeah, it's the same. I like Last of Us for the same reason I like Halo. It gives you the ability to roam around, but it is linear. It's not like I'm
They're
just gonna
telling
stop
you
right
a
here.
story and going
Yeah,
through that timeline, each level at a time, delivering every
yeah,
single emotion or mission objective that you need to accomplish or sit with.
yeah. And in my opinion, I feel like Knights of the Republic did that best in an actual open world. I'm like, this is amazing. And then Minecraft is just, yeah, whatever, if you want to. I mean, it's Minecraft. It's whatever you want it to be,
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool. So I use iPad for gaming as a convenience, the same way I use the Switch as a convenience. I don't go out of my way to get these games, but 2 out of the 3 games here I did pay for. I did pay for Star Wars and Minecraft, but I bought Minecraft on. This is before the merger, so Java and or Mojang and
Microsoft.
uh, Microsoft before they merged it. So I gave Minecraft
Before
at
the
least.
Empire.
Yeah, I know. I gave him at least $60 because I bought the game at least 3 times. The
Right.
PlayStation, PC, which by PC I mean Mac, and iOS, because they were so those were the 3 that I bought it 3 times. I'm like, oh great. So $20 each, that's $60. So that's the same cost of what a game is today anyway. I'm like, all right, whatever. I When I did used to play it, I put a lot of hours into it, so I didn't necessarily mind. paying that, but it is a preference thing. I don't play really any of them anymore. I care more about content over convenience, even though I just told you why I like Nintendo. So I all that to then kind of go back to what might happen in a couple weeks. I don't know if this headset is going to be based off of gaming, and if it is, still won't convince. Pricing is also a thing. I would not pay 700, 1,000, 3,000. I wouldn't pay 500 for the headset, and that's me being stingy. I know people are gonna be like, "Oh, dude, 500 is what people would pay for consoles," and I know, but when I buy a PlayStation, I know what I'm getting with a PlayStation. I know what I'm getting with Xbox. So, to me, they're not. When I buy, I don't. I have the same Switch you have, Mike. But mine's the black Joy Cons. I don't have the OLED one, the updated, refreshed one. I got the first gen version of it. $350 or whatever, plus a $60 game. I spent $400 so I could play Breath of the Wild and then
Smash Bros.
And then Smash Bros. Right? So then there's that. The headset, I still can't see. So I'm like a hybrid between you two. Like I like playing games, but I'm not a gamer. I will go out of my way to play games once every 2 to 3 months or so. I don't know the last time I touched the Xbox. Probably when Sage was born, to be honest. Yeah, so 5 months. I don't know what it would take for me to be like, oh, Apple's taking gaming seriously now, and they're doing it because of this headset. I'm going all in with this subscription. Chances are it's a subscription. I have to pay something for this XROS. Oh my God!
Your XROS access, so that way you get access to everything that they offer. In which that access is a subscription that's going to cost you $5.99 a month or whatever.
Just no, you're thinking of Final Cut.
Oh, right. Just that way you can put Minecraft blocks or your widgets on your desk whenever you wake up and then want to walk around the house with goggles on.
What if the headset was to be more like Steam? That's a different conversation because then it's competing with the Oculus. That it's competing with all those other ones where it's like you can actually play
Steam VR other games. And all that.
Yeah, that would be a little bit different. Not enough to make me be like, yep, I'm gonna play it because I don't. The only game I think I would be interested in trying out, and just that's the word, trying it out, is whatever VR version of Resident Evil that would be there. Because I love the Resident Evil games. That's another one, but that could be on anything. So I'll play Resident Evil. And when they did Village, Resident Evil 7, that was fun. That first person, and people who played with VR, is like, I was like, I'm an adrenaline junkie by birth, so I like the thrill of that stuff. I still can't see myself. Like, I don't know what you could tell me to be like, this is it, guys. Next podcast, you're gonna see me like this. This is the future. I just don't see it. I'm sure there's some AI thing thrown in there that makes it all better.
Siri GPT.
There you go.
And all that. Do you think an AI would allow the reality XR goggles, whatever they are, make it thrive better, Drew? Do you think that would be its selling point, that you can get your first hands-on experience with both their VR, AR experience and also a newer version of Siri only with this product?
That may be the worst idea I've ever heard. I'm trying to think.
You're asking the wrong question, Mike.
Oh, sorry.
You have to first establish. You first have to establish if or when AI would be Apple's new push towards it. They announced this week that you get to have your voice AI'd and put out there. If you ever lose your voice, you live on for infinity through AI. That's kind of creepy, but AI is a new. But I'm just trying to say how many times I can say AI in this episode. But
You're at about.
Did you try it?
I don't think Apple, much like a folding phone, I don't know if Apple will go all in the same way adjacent companies are AI duking it out right now. Whatever's going on with Microsoft and Google, Apple be like, all right, y'all do that. I'm gonna go over here and work on replicating people's voices, and next is gonna be their FaceTime calls and whatever. And next you know, it's just another you. And they're building the real metaverse, not the one that Meta, patent. They're building the real one that's like, yo, this is Meta, literally. Check out this verse. When I rap, I come in there. I'm joking. I'm not gonna do that. But
no, everyone hates Siri, right? Like everyone's dogpiling. No one ever really liked Siri, if I'm being honest. Like, I can't remember a time when people are like, Siri's so much better now. It's just from the beginning, everyone's like, Siri sucks. Google Assistant's better. Now we've been promoted from Google Assistant to BARF or whatever it's called, GPT. They're all way smarter than what our old assistants were, so now Google's trying to catch up, and Apple's done like nothing basically other than accessibility stuff, which is great. But if you're looking for like selling points for your headset, I would say Siri's probably one of the worst things to try to convince people like this will make it worth it, because I almost feel like Siri has the same reputation now as like Internet Explorer.
Oh, like, no.
Even if it got better, people wouldn't care. Like, it would still have the negative. We're still paying the long-lasting ramifications for Apple Maps' bad launch. And that was so long ago. Apple Maps is so much better than it was back then. I have time and time again ran into tons of issues with Google Maps, and I personally think Apple Maps is way better, at least in my experience. It has been. And yet there's still people that riff on Apple Maps all the time. Like, oh, Apple Maps sucks. Everyone uses Google Maps. And
it's the Nickelback
I feel like
of
Siri
maps.
has that. Yeah. Well, Siri is like the Nickelback of digital assistants. So like, I feel like if you wanted to actually make a compelling digital assistant that could compete now with the Chat GPTs and the Google Barfs, I'm just going to keep calling it that. And
that's what it's called.
You'd have to rebrand it. I don't think you could call it Siri anymore. I don't think it's worth trying to sell that brand name of recognizing. Oh, remember Siri? That carries so much negativity with it now. There'd be no advantage to keeping that name anymore.
So did Bing, and they found a way to keep it going
by just adding Bing 3 letters to it.
Bing
GPT.
I thought it was Bing AI.
So what happens now? Apple buys Twitter? Apple buys X Corp?
Apple is X Corp.
I'm genuinely fascinated because Apple has the best marketing team in the world, right? Like, they can make a boring phone. Yeah, they're literally doing crack. And they can make any boring old phone.
How do you know?
It's just a new color can come out. Who's to say? And
this does make
they can make any new color option.
Anyway, go ahead.
Make it seem like a brand new thing. It's this great new product, and it's the exact same product as last year. And Apple has just fantastic marketing, and yet every rumor we hear about this headset makes it seem like a horrible idea. Like everything we hear about it is like, wow, that's dumb. Wait, why would they do that? Price it that high? What for? How would this work? So
battery?
That's why I'm so fascinated. Yeah, battery pack on your belt. It's the Apple belt buckle. You're gonna put that on your.
Can I at least put my Tesla belt buckle on top of it so that way I can look a little bit less
switch
chilly?
It to Wombo?
You could picture a Apple belt with the little MagSafe cup, so you can interchange the buckle.
Or a MagSafe accessory attachment, so you could put like your water or like soda.
You guys think you got the bat belt over here? There's always something in here for my handy dandy Adam West bat belt and throwing out everything you need.
that's just why I'm so fascinated for if this actually ends up being a thing. There's still, in my mind, there's still about like a 20% to 25% chance that this is all still baloney. And this is what
it would make so many people look so bad on Twitter with the amount of chat
that would be so terrible.
I mean, it would be terrible for them. I'm at the point now where I feel like I'm a EV content creator first anyway, just in regards to channel revenue. Like,
well, what's there to talk about in terms of Apple these days, right?
Exactly. That's why it would be bad.
For Dub, right? And to see
and if Dub ends up being a big letdown, because we all went into it expecting a big headset, because I think I saw the founder of Oculus tweeted that the Apple headset is really good. So I'm like, okay, that feels like it's pretty legit if they're talking about it.
If the U.S. government is talking about Project Titan, and Oculus' CEO is talking about their VR system or whatever,
how did he not get sued?
Some of these things probably have to be real, right?
Yeah, you would think, but again, it's going to be so fascinating, even if it sucks. Like I'm getting major HomePod vibes from the headset reports. Like it feels like one of those. It's niche, and it's way too expensive, but the niche is really excited and passionate. So Apple will continue to cater to that niche. Like, I don't think anyone expected the original HomePod to get a refresh. And yet, that happened this year. Despite everyone saying, no, that's too expensive, don't do that. And, everyone else has moved away from doing high-end smart speakers, and everyone said, fix Siri, improve the service options, the music streaming choices. They didn't do any of that. They just made another one. Now it has humidity checking. And then,
thank God.
There's a niche that's like, woohoo! There's 15 people that get really pumped by that. But everyone else is like, what? Why? That's the vibe I'm getting. I'm not getting like Apple Watch vibe or AirPod vibe, like this is going to be the next big thing and people don't realize it. That's how I felt when the Apple Watch came out and the AirPods came out. I was like, this is it. This is going to take over. And it got ridiculed, and there's still that ridicule. Pretty much anytime Apple launches something, whether it ends up being successful or not, everyone critiques it and ridicules it. But I'm fascinated to see Apple try. Like, I want to see the marketing department get handed this $3,000 goggles. Like, all right, sell it. And they're going to be like, ho,
goggles.
Let's go to backup here.
Goggles.
They're going to try to show it off as much as possible, try to come up with as many use cases for it. And, that's what the rumors are saying. They're like, the executives are nervous. Like, the people on Apple's own board are like not very sold on this, and they're very like worried about how compromised it is. So it's a nice big controversial subject, I think, that would give us all lots of things to talk about, because we don't have much anymore. iPhones are just so incremental. Same with watches. And
I don't know if this is going to be like a bad PR thing for them, because even if it's not successful, it is, because it gets the coverage in the news. It's the Mac Pro wheels equivalent then at that point. That
you're right. The wheels got a lot of attention.
They don't lose money on really. It's like when you look at how much goes into iPhone, they don't lose money. Period. Like, they're not diverting 50% of their revenues towards this product. It's like another Apple TV. It's like, hey, if it sticks around, it sticks around. But Steve Jobs didn't care when iTV at the time was going to be in things. Like, this is a hobby. And maybe this is just another thing. Like, this is a hobby, see if it sticks. And if it doesn't, then they'll kill it off. They'll drop it the way they dropped the HomePod the first time. Or the Home Dock, the iHome, whatever, before that. Like,
well, that's what was interesting about some of the rumors, which, again, I'm not completely convinced on anymore. But there was reports saying that this is going to be one of the first or very few Apple products that they sell at a loss. Which I'm like, this thing?
So
of all products?
So then it's not going to be $3,000. It'll be cheaper.
No, they're saying they'd lose money on $3,000.
Yikes.
And it just has super advanced hardware that no other headset has.
Now that I believe the best advanced hard that is so Apple. We really took our time making sure and then to throw all this stuff about why is the best fidelity for your eyes and you don't get eye fatigued and retina display this and ProMotion your eyes tracking and that I totally buy it.
We waited through 6 Oculuses to deliver you this very expensive product.
You should say we went on a very long quest.
Oh, stop. No.
But clever boy.
I would be more excited for like a dedicated they took an old Samsung TV screen, slapped on Apple's design language, and then put in the M chip or whatever and call it a iTV or Apple TV Max or whatever. I'd be more excited for that. I'm not really that excited about this VR system, especially from my experience with the PSVR 2, where I was like, eh. My brain and eyes don't really handle that well. Except I guess I did perfectly fine with the Quest 2. So, I don't know. I'm just...
Maybe there's a right way to do it, and we just haven't seen it yet. I mean, that's kind of my final glimmer.
We haven't seen it yet.
Humor me. Maybe the project's not meant for us. And I don't mean like maybe it's meant for the Gen Zers, like the younger Gen Zers.
Or businesses.
Yeah, they've got $3,000. This would explain Apple Pay Later a lot.
We're just out of touch.
$3,000. It's $500 every 2 weeks.
Would you be more jazzed? Hey, Mike, this is exclusively a question for you. Would you be more jazzed about some headset, XROS, or would you care more about getting, if there was a way, or even, you know what, no, just let's keep it clean. Would you care more about that, or would you care more about Final Cut and Logic on the iPad?
Probably, that's a tough question. My initial response was the headset, but the fact that I can use it depends on what iPads support this, right? In which we already know.
So I hesitated. Let me
to be
clarify.
M1 chip or more. If I could do,
I hesitated. I would say all to get to the point where it comes to all whatever. I think you can get Logic on your iPad Mini.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would say then definitely there. Final Cut and Logic on my iPad then, because there's infinite amount more utility there than there is with the Reality OS goggles or wherever they are, because that the goggles are only going to be used for that and that alone. There's not going to be any cool gaming scenarios that Apple's going to come up with. They're just going to try to get whatever developers that they can to put in whatever they want. It's going to be Clash of Clans VR or whatever. Or it's going to be Alto's World VR. I played
that. You shut your mouth. I would play that.
Alto's Adventure.
Whatever it is. I'm not interested in that. If you start collaborating or at least convincing gaming companies to work on it, then sure. Or if you offered experiences that made sense with a long battery life, then okay. But otherwise, I use my iPad every day. It makes more sense. I would be more excited with more utility on it with Final Cut and Logic than to have to buy a $3,000 set of goggles that only do one thing, and they don't even do that one thing amazingly compared to the Valve or the Steam VR or the PSVR 2 or whatever else.
I bet they'll do it better than everyone else, personally. And I don't think it'll do just one thing.
Okay, 2 things.
It probably won't have the titles. I think they'll try to pitch it as doing lots of things. I think they'll look at it as a 3D artist tool, external monitors for your computers, and reading books, and it'll just have a miniaturized iOS.
You can actually be in Final Cut on the timeline, moving
You
things.
are Final Cut.
Yeah. For a subscription price.
I don't think it'll just be a gaming thing at all. I'd be shocked if that's all its pitch is. But I do think that they'll probably be using super high-end materials and specs that no one else, because no one else feels comfortable charging $3,000 for a headset. I would say Apple's probably the only company that could normalize that a little bit. You know, if Valve tried to do that, or if Meta tried to do that, everyone would be like, "You're crazy. That's ridiculous." But Apple would be like, "Nah, we'll tell you what you want. Don't worry about it."
And you'll like it.
You will like it because they've got such a huge loyal following. There's a bunch of people that probably don't need this or don't want this, but once it comes out and the Apple marketing team uses their magic wand and uses that pop music in the trailer and puts it on, people go, "Whoa, I want to try that." And they see all the YouTubers doing it. You know, they get a bunch of sales regardless of how good it is, so they can kind of get away with charging gobs of money for it. But yeah, I still feel very much more like it's going to be a HomePod type product, not an AirPod or Apple
Agreed.
Watch type product.
Very
At that
much
price, it's hard to
single
get
use.
excited.
I
Yeah.
think
Very
it's going to be
difficult.
more akin to AirPods Max.
Sure, yeah, I would put that in the same boat as HomePod.
I would buy AirPods Max. I don't think I'd buy the HomePod.
Interesting.
I wouldn't buy. I mean,
I mean, I did buy AirPods Max.
you
but
bought
then-
AirPods Max twice, and you still don't have it. So I think that says a
Once!
lot.
Right.
Once! I bought it once.
Okay, once.
Okay.
I wore it. I used
No,
it twice.
Who bought it back when we were all in San Diego? Was it Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, Nick bought it and you tried it. So you didn't. Nick bought it so you didn't have to the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
He gave you a little
Fair.
bit of the substance. That way you were hooked and you wanted more.
Well, he's a terrible
bit.
drug dealer then, because I went back for seconds and I still was like, "What? That,
Randy really tried to get hooked on that drug and he couldn't do it.
I
It just
want. I
wasn't
really
addictive
wanted
enough.
to. I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the biggest Apple sheep. I wanted to have something on Drew where I could be like, "Take that, dude. You are no Apple sheep here. Stand down." And then I'm just like, "Nah, I'm good."
Well, you've got that on me now, so.
Can we talk about this?
Don't-
What is? All right.
Just kidding. I
didn't
love
watch
that.
the video. You posted the video before we did this, probably on purpose too, so I wouldn't be all blindsided. But the thing is, we kind of knew this was happening.
Yeah, we talked about it. That
Did we?
episode made it.
Oh, did it? Okay.
The episode where I talk about ordering the Pixel.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry.
That's
Sometimes-
public.
Right.
Sometimes, I don't know what we talk out loud and what we keep behind closed doors, so I always be like, "What? You got a Pix?"
And I just
So-
forget everything every single episode, so I don't remember.
I will say this. Drew
That's good.
messages us on a new group chat on Twitter because he's like, "All right,
Of course, it's
I don't, because I don't have. He doesn't have the blue bubble. He can't do the thing. He's like, let's keep it clean and have a group chat." And he immediately, at some point, through my looking back at the text, it looked immediate. Hey, we'll try this, and then next thing is like, I gave up, and there was blue bubbles again. I was like, what is happening right now?
Yeah, that was the first attempt at trying to get my SIM card moved over, but it was not working properly. Apple was locking the gates on the garden, if you will, and I couldn't get out. Felt like that video of the monkey that's shaking the door really hard. Was trying to get text because there was like family
Let me
members
out.
talking to me and texting me about like important things, and I wasn't getting their texts, and it was like, you have to turn off iMessage to get it to work, and I did that, and it still didn't work. And I was like, okay. So I had to get the chain of events working, and I also had to review the SE2 a couple days ago anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave the SIM in there for now. And I didn't have time. I was really pushed for time because of all this stuff we have going on. But I was like, when I have more time, I will troubleshoot this and try to figure it out because it's hard to leave the ecosystem. I know what people mean when they say that.
I
But
don't.
The texting was
Tell
not
me.
working. Yeah. Basically, because I have a new Gmail now, which we talked about, I have all new contacts, all new photo library, all new emails. So everything had to be like reset up for Android so that I knew who was texting me. And of course, all my group chats break in the blue ones, which I don't care about, but other people are more bothered by it than I am, I think. AirDrop, I had to find a workaround. I found some really cool workarounds, actually. I'll get a few videos out of this phone, probably. Just getting Android and Mac OS to communicate was interesting.
What color did you get?
It's the black, whatever you call this, charcoal.
Charcoal.
Space gray.
Because it's
plebe.
Midnight silver metallic, obviously.
Right.
Wrong
yeah,
podcast.
that's pretty much it.
Oh.
That's pretty much midnight silver metallic, though. That's really
Looks
spot
close.
on.
It's a 6A, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Which
Did you
get the 7A? What?
No, that was
part of the conversation.
Thesis.
I remember that one thing.
Yeah.
I remember. I'm being facetious. I remember.
New Pixels are a bad idea.
Yes.
Used Pixels are a great idea. They're so cheap. You can get a Pixel 6 Pro, which has 120 hertz, 5,000 milliamp hour battery, the telephoto super zoom camera and 50 megapixel what have you, and all that with the Tensor chip. Still 4 years of updates for under $300 through eBay certified refurbished. It's like these things just tank their resale value so fast, which is great if you buy used, horrible if you buy new. Which is why I did that video. Never buy Pixel phones. ... New. That's the main takeaway I've learned, is that they're good phones. You could save so much money by waiting just a couple months, and the value will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got this on eBay or?
This one was Amazon renewed.
Okay.
Because I like the simplicity of. It's not renewed premium, but Amazon renewed has the 90-day, as you found out with your AirPods Max, and I have to get rid of it before then because I'm taking a big trip anyway. But I just prefer the simplicity of the Amazon return process. I returned with eBay refurbished, and it works, but it's just a little bit more time. You have to either print the label yourself or they'll mail you a print label, but Amazon does this thing where you don't even have to print a label. You can just drop it off without any packaging. You can just go to UPS and show them a QR code or FedEx, whatever, and just say, I don't want this. And they go, okay. And it's so incredibly simple. I wanted to make a skit about it. It was like, it feels so weird. You just walk into a place without the original packaging, without anything. Hi, I don't want this anymore. Can you give it back to whoever gave it to me? Okay, thank you. And you just walk out,
I love this dystopian world that we live in.
Dazed and confused.
Yeah, it's just like,
great.
Walk in. Hey, I don't want this. Take it away. And then you walk out. And I've done that so many times now with non-tech related things, but it's been so helpful when Amazon, because a lot of the time they send us the wrong stuff or whatever, but they're just like, oh yeah, just drop it off at whatever. So I'm like, okay, I'll try that. And I wanted to give myself some wiggle room with the return window in case I do hold on to it longer than expected, because we're busy and stuff. But I don't own a printer. And it turns out when you buy from Amazon Renewed, they freaking, I won't show it to you for obvious reasons, but they freaking just give you a return label in the box, whether you return it or not. They don't know I'm returning it, but they just include one. They're just like, hey, if you don't want it, just slap it on there.
I didn't get one for the AirPods Max.
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's different than for.
I think it depends sellers. On who the seller is, because I had to provide packaging and all that when I returned AirPods Max. They wanted it back in the box that I provided, and I needed.
It's an Apple product, so.
Yeah, but I didn't go to Apple. I went to some doohickey, whatever.
Them doohickey people.
I think it was like and Sweeney Industries or something like that. It felt very scammy.
I've
It
heard
felt
of
very
that.
scammy. I did not like it at all.
Totally, yeah.
Very
Had
the whole
weird
thing just
gunk
sucked.
on it.
It
Smelled
sucked.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that
My
makes
box
sense.
came Sammy.
So much sand on it. There were little ceramic shards inside it, you know. Ugh. But on that subject of buying renewed, I did order an iPad this week.
What?
Which I didn't think would be happening.
You did it. You did the thing. He's doing the thing.
Everyone pressured me. I felt like I couldn't say no.
Did you do it through refurbished? Because them things are cheap.
It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't.
You know what
Apple,
I mean? Like,
at
well,
I
least.
feel
I only
dirty
say that
looking
because
at you.
I too also got the M1. No, I didn't.
It's not here yet. I don't have it, but it's the. I didn't get M2 out of principle.
There's no M2s to get refurbished.
Well, yeah, no. I mean,
go against
I didn't buy
your
new. Is what I
own
mean. Yeah.
code.
Oh,
Yeah. Even though I'm not keeping it, I didn't want to give them the pleasure of thinking someone wanted M2. So through Amazon Renewed, I found something I did want to make sure I get though. I found a 12.9-inch M1 iPad Pro. Funnily enough, I actually have already reviewed one of those when it came out all those years ago. But this time,
All those years ago.
I made sure to get a 1 terabyte storage option so that I can import lots of footage onto it to test out Final Cut, which, for the record, I have very low hopes for. I did not really want to do this. I think I admitted it on stream at some point. I was like, people are like, so you're going to review Final Cut? You're going to review Final Cut? I'm like, I'm looking at it on the site right now, and I can already tell this is not... hashtag not my Final Cut. You know, this is not the exact same. There's even a section on the page that someone pointed out to me that made me cry, where it says,
wow.
You can export your Final Cut projects on iPad to the Mac to access more advanced features. And I was like, you son of a...
and
so not only...
Go ahead.
What?
And I was like,
Okay.
and you know this is going to be a thing because you could send it to the Mac, but you can't bring it from the Mac. That's how you know. That's how you know.
Right, it's a one-way street. Not only do they expect you to buy an M1 iPad, which they know 95% of iPad owners don't have the M1 chip, right?
Right.
Like everyone on this podcast, none of us have the M1 in our tablet. And yet they're like,
No.
get an M1 iPad, spend $5 a month on Final Cut, just so that you can move those projects onto your Mac, where you have to spend $300 on Final Cut to unlock those other features. I'm like, oh, so my hopes are incredibly low. And I was like, I would only really do that. I would really only buy an iPad to try out Final Cut just so I can scratch it off like the list of complaints people are inevitably going to give me, because I know if I don't do it, everyone's going to say, well, how can you dock it, Drew? You haven't even tried it. You know, people were bringing that up. Just try it. And I'm like, I feel like one of those kids that doesn't want to eat the vegetables or whatever, and they're like, come on, just give it a shot. I'm like, I can tell you by looking at it, I'm not going to like that.
I can tell you by smelling it, I'm not going to like it.
Yeah, it's the smell is enough to convince me. Even if I try it out and I mess around with the new dial thing and everything, I'll probably be like, okay, it's pretty good, but LumaFusion is probably cheaper and DaVinci's fine, and I'll give it an honest try, but I'm not hopeful for it, basically. I'm not expecting much out of it. But the 1 terabyte iPad comes with 16 gigs of RAM instead of 8, so I thought that would give me the more unlocked experience. M2 isn't really a big deal to me, but I did not think I would be ordering an iPad at some point, but everyone was just like,
M2's not
it
a
would
big
be
deal.
cool to see you
How
try.
else are you going to be able to just hover and...
Oh my god.
You fool. You're so new.
Yeah. I'm like gonna unbox it with a straight face and everything.
You've already unboxed it
trial.
before. Why are you unboxing it again?
Yeah,
So
probably won't even document that.
You should do a whole stream unboxing the M1 iPad. ... Again.
Yeah. If anything, it's to test what do you get included with an Amazon Renewed, because my Renewed Pixel did not come with the original packaging or the original charger, which is funny because the Pixel 6a from Google does not come with a charge brick, but if you buy it from Amazon Renewed, it comes with a charge brick. Save money, get more accessories. How much sense does that make?
Man.
So much.
Amazon hasn't gotten the memo. They don't realize you don't have to include that anymore.
They're too busy burning down the actual rainforest.
You know, a lot of people don't know Jeff Bezos has left Amazon.
So
I run into people all the time that think, "Oh, Jeff
I don't
is
support
doing
that
I'm
guy.
Like, he's not there.
He's gone.
He's gone.
I'm not
And
going to
now-
buy one of his products. He's all over the
went to
news.
space
Oh,
for
wait,
2
that's the wrong
minutes.
guy.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, I know people like that who will same thing. This whole reinvigorating of blood and life back into the iPad has made me break out iPad Pro, and I use it. I have my own little kind of continuity thing going on here. Even with so I got the Ventura wallpaper on.
Me too.
My Mac is right here because my Mac is my mic, and then I have it up right here as well. And so this is so I can just check meterings and stuff like that behind the scenes for OBS and recording. And I see you guys right here, and I kind of do that just so I can look as much like I'm looking at the camera as possible. But off to the side with universal control, I paired it so seamlessly that it goes right to the iPad here, which I'm using iOS 16's dark mode wallpaper, which is I didn't even realize it until I was making. It's basically the same color schemes as dark mode Ventura wallpaper, and so it looks like I have my own little setup here, and the iPad has gone back to. I was talking about gaming, right? So I do that like once in a blue moon, but I will use the iPad to have my my YouTube playing if I'm doing something right here. But more often than not, my iPad is my dedicated baby monitor because I have a little camera in my kids' room. So I pull it up right there, and because I use Stage Manager, I'll have it right there, and I'll have like 2 other things going on at once. And so lately, I've been kind of like reallocating assets and things in my life. So I'm just like, I use the iPad for information purposes. I use my monitor here, the display monitor, as my like reading whatever, and then I use the up close MacBook keyboard or the Magic Mouse keyboard. I alternate as my typing, as my utensils for my notes. So I have I use numbers every day and I use notes every day, so they live on the MacBook just like that, split screen, and I'm typing notes and I'm doing my thing. I got my browsers and stuff up on the monitor, and then I got, if not my baby monitor, I got my media player right there. And I'm like, this is me trying to be efficient with my ecosystem, because going back to the other podcast we do, we don't have to ask for subscribers anymore, but still, Drew had mentioned that you could, if you sell at a loss, then you made 2 bad financial decisions, so to say. And so this is me like, well, I already spent the money on the iPad, and I don't get to use the mini as much as I thought I would. My wife uses the mini more. She's using it right now. I hear her talking to her mom right now. So I'm like, all right, that's their thing. So I've let go of the iPad mini, even though I think it's the best one. And I went back to this thing.
You got it right.
My wallpaper or my desktop is just nothing but widgets. So that way I got weather, inbox, how much usage I'm doing, battery, calendar, photos of my wife and kid, and my Fidelity account info, whatever. So like it's all very practical for me. I'm like, nice, da da da. And so I'm purposely forcing myself to do this, yes, but I found it actually very like, what's the opposite of claustrophobic? Whatever that word is, I'm that right now. And it's fine. But 2018 iPad Pro, man. Like I don't know. maybe it's my lifestyle that is, but I can't get excited. I'm just like the headset. I'm finding it really hard to get excited about Apple these days, even on the product. Ooh,
Same.
say iPad
That's why
gets
we're talking more Android stuff now. I feel like there's no other way to go. I can't trust the rumors. I can't trust the leaks. Can't trust Apple. They don't do anything.
That's true.
So it's in a weird limbo state where I'm like, I'm not sure where this is headed, but I'm enjoying the challenge. Gives me more of an excuse to do skits as the skit starts to become more and more of the main portion of the video at this point. The commentary is like
5 minutes of skit, 2 minutes of. So Apple's thinking about adding this. Awesome.
Right.
See you later.
Right. Yeah.
That within itself could be a skit. Do a meta Talos of Tech skit on yourself and yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool to talk about how all these phones are not that different, so don't spend a ton of money on them. Like, here's how cheap you can get good hardware now these days, and that's been kind of a cool exercise. So I'm playing around. I'm not really sure what the long-term future of the channel is at this point, but yeah, I feel like
it's all about crypto, baby.
Oh man,
that's
NFTs.
Right.
NFT
there
bros.
we go.
If anything I've learned, stay away from those 3-letter acronyms.
SAS.
FTX.
G.
NFT.
P.
GPT.
LOL. Okay. I'll laugh internally.
Don't do that. Yeah, just use the emoji. That's good enough.
And then make an NFT of it.
Exactly. There you go. But I will just acknowledge, if we're moving away, in my opinion, it's kind of fun because the leakers are kind of toxic and annoying. But if we're moving away from rumors and leaks and just doing more like, wish list / speculate / what could happen, or why did this company do this, which is fun to talk about. I still enjoy spitballing ideas with you guys. I feel, having switched over to the Pixel and seeing the Pixel tablet and everything, there is a path to Google building out an ecosystem that could rival Apple's. I don't think they're there right now, but I could see a trajectory now a lot clearer than I did a year or two ago. Like, making their own silicon, getting creative with the hardware, refining that silicon. The first Tensor chip wasn't that efficient, but it seems like people are more positively responding to the second Tensor chip.
They have the software to compete.
Yeah, they own the IP. They've got Android, and they've got money. They've got cash from their ads business, their search business. So it's not like they're short on revenue. Everything that prevents them from actually threatening the Apple ecosystem is just execution to me. That's all it is. They have the supply chains in place. They have the right partnerships. They're manufacturing their phones at scale. They're pretty affordable, pretty reasonable. The camera's good. The displays are decent, and all that. So as poorly as they started it with the original Pixels, and that's why I ranted so bad because the hardware was terrible, I gotta give them credit. The Pixel tablet really opened my mind to, like, here's how a tablet should be, and seeing the phones actually hold a candle to the Galaxies of the world and that kind of thing, and picking up a lot more traction, it seems, with the carriers and that type of thing. I feel like the last piece of the puzzle for me would be a dramatic rethinking of, like, the Chromebooks. Because right now they basically don't have any laptops on their site. They scrapped it all of the Pixel Book and any Chromebook. Now it's just phones, headphones, tablets, and smart speakers, which is a really solid ecosystem. That's a great place to start. But from there, if you can stretch that, like something I was visualizing as to how Google could really start to, throw Apple a curveball. Google buys LumaFusion.
Whoa.
and then starts optimizing it for more of a keyboard trackpad interface. And then you build up some more processor intensive
I'm an agent of
tensor
chaos.
chip. I'm an agent of chaos. Yeah, like Google's version of an M1 Pro chip or an M2 Pro chip, you know. They do a Pixel book that actually has some performance in it and could actually run some pro apps rather than just say, it runs Chrome. You can manage your office life through Chrome. I'm like, okay, that's where the execution isn't there, but financially and IP-wise, like, they have everything they need to do this, which brings us all back to why it's called Tailosive Tech and not the Apple Sheep, was the fundamental idea that don't
That's some big brain, 4D chess thinking 10 years later down the road.
Underwater basket weaving. Yeah.
Basket weaving.
Apple could slack off and Google could catch up. I'm saying that's possible. Maybe not likely, but I definitely get the impression from a lot of Apple categories these days that they're kind of slacking off on projects. Like iPad 10 was a big joke. iPhones should have switched to USB-C, and I feel like that's the most exciting thing coming to the iPhone this year, and that's only because of the European Union. It's not because of Apple. And the M2 chip is kind of just overclocked M1, and we lost a whole podcast because of it. It's just a lot of complacency and likely kind of a botched release when it comes to the headset. A lot of us aren't too hopeful for it. No one's really like, yeah, I'm definitely buying one. Everyone's like, what is it? So this is why I didn't want to associate like my channel or my brand with one company, because company has leadership and sometimes they do good and sometimes they don't, and they can change. There's a good chance Tim Cook is going to retire before the end of the decade. And there could be a whole different trajectory with Apple where they try different things and maybe they don't go so well, So it's kind of like exciting and interesting, in my opinion, to see other companies getting wiser and like the establishment slipping up. It's kind of a cool development to me. And I'm like less interested in Samsung and OnePlus because they're like fighting over who's controlling the display because they don't have the IP, they don't have Android, whereas Google has a more vertically integrated design scheme, at least. So I'm more fascinated by their approach now that it feels more intelligent.
Intelligence.
It would be interesting to see you, Drew, make this huge transition from everything Apple in your ecosystem to everything Google in your ecosystem.
Get
no longer
off this podcast right now. You just broke a rule. You are done.
Wow.
Hey, I'm already on YouTube Music. Like, I unboxed this phone and it already knew so much about me. I use Google Sheets.
That's so uncomfortable.
I use YouTube Premium. I use YouTube Studio. I'm a YouTuber.
Does it give you 4 point whatever % interest rate for just giving them your money?
No. You're absolutely right. That is the biggest in switching everything over. The wallet app is the hardest thing to emulate because it's not on the Mac. You can't access.
That's true. Yeah.
You can't bring your Mac
on the web. Nope. And
Safeway,
there's workarounds for everything else.
Scan my laptop for this.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Blink. They had an old image about that in the old days when he brings the iMac with Apple Pay to the store. But yeah, like they don't. I can find workarounds for iMessage. It's not the end of the world for me. I think people overexaggerate. I found a workaround today for AirDrop, and there's apps that let you recreate continuity camera. There's workarounds.
We have a better FaceTime system with this. We actually have concept or like reliability.
Yeah, we were pretty annoyed with FaceTime back when we used to use that. It was horrible, So I'm like, I love first-party ecosystems where it's just one vision thought all the way through. And because I use so many Google services already, we use Google Drive to share this podcast footage with each other.
True.
Like, I'm attracted to the idea, I guess, of, even though it's probably dangerous, monopoly thing. I'm attracted to the idea of one company having control over more of my experience. Now they control YouTube, which I watch more than anything. They control my music. They control my job, my income, my Gmail, my photo library, and my hardware.
You sound a bit biased because you have to be.
That's true. Google pays me to say nice things about Pixel. That's why I've never critiqued them in my...
Hashtag Team Pixel.
Think how many people Pixel I have Boy? Permanently scarred away from...
Was that what it is? Is it Pixel Boy?
Pixel Boy's coming back, I think, slowly. It's the return. Wow. I don't know if Mike was around for that.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't know what Pixel Boy is.
We need to find that video, I think.
Oh, no.
Let's just say...
But to be fair, I went back and watched my Nexus 6P review today, out of curiosity, because it had the same camera visor and everything. I liked that phone a lot too, so I feel like I haven't changed all that much. I said a lot of nice things about the Nexus.
No, the Pixel Boy thing though. I'll say it like this, Mike. How often, if ever, when Drew is doing like a skit or he's characterizing himself, like he's playing into his Talos of Tech mode, how often, if ever, have you ever seen Drew break character?
There's been a few outtakes, but otherwise, yeah, not too much at all.
This dude straight up unboxed his...
I never break character.
Yeah, we got a real Robert Downey Jr. I don't know if I could... Never mind.
I can't do RDJ.
Well, RDJ here. No, but I was going to do from Tropic Thunder. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Oh, dear Lord.
he got his little gift set. Hey, review on Pixel, whatever. And he's like, oh, boy. He's acting all like, they don't know who I am, but whatever, I'm going to. And he unboxed it. There's like, and he looked at it, and he had this, like, it had this accessory merch to go with it. And this is an edited video, but he's just like, and now we're going to open it up and see what's going on. And blah, blah, blah. And he picks up this thing and like little Pixel Boy whatever, and he just like he loses it. He's like, what is happening right now? He complete like somebody checkmated him on that at Google. I actually thought up to this point, even then, that this was one big troll that was happening. So anyway.
I still don't know what they were thinking. They weren't thinking, I guess. But anyway, it was fun catching up with you guys. And just a reminder, we're in our last couple episodes here. We're taking a big summer break. We'll be gone for a while. So
I will be gone for this is my last episode for 2 weeks. I will be back. I'm going out of country. You will see me.
Okay. Will you be back for Dub Dub?
Yes. I come back June 3rd.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
There's hope that we can
Randy.
continue then.
When's Dub Dub?
The 5th.
Yeah, I'm back before then. So,
all right.
My big trip is in a couple days. So I will be gone. I'll be back for Dub Dub, and then I am not a crook. I don't know what.
Travel safe.
It was this.
We'll miss you.
I'll miss you guys. Yeah.
I won't.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Peace.